Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's edition of Press Hour. Tough times never last, tough people do, is the title of a book written by an American Christian tele-evangelist, pastor and motivational author Robert Harold Schuller. His message here is that no matter what situation you are going through, you should never give up. Women around the world are going through critical situations of balancing the gender equation. The difficulty is at different levels: political, economic, socio-cultural, physical, and now femicide on the rise by the day. Gender-based violence refers to that violence perpetrated both on men and women. But each time the concept is mentioned, it is the face of a woman that is projected on a broad screen. The explanation is simple. Women, by and large, are the victims. Why does gender-based violence persist in Cameroon in spite of the efforts to redress the situation? That will be our focus today on the program. I am Kilian Dandi Fonin Yaoundé, and this is Press Hour. Why does gender-based violence persist in Cameroon? It is not only in Cameroon, you know, but we're talking about our country, where we live, and which we know so well, better than probably foreigners. Barrister Ta Edwangum is a barrister at law. She is women's rights advocate. We have Comfort Musa, journalist and coordinator of Sisters Speak 237. Aisha Mama is a journalist in CRTV, and Moa Patrick is a desk editor in the Guardian Post newspaper. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you, Kilian.
Yes, and we're going to go straight. We went first because the topic is not only a topic that touches every one of us. We have to look for ample time to address the issues. But before we get into the discussion, here is Angela Mbong with what the newspapers have been saying during the week that just ended. Angela?
Social affairs, governance, infrastructure, and labor issues dominated newspaper columns this week. Cameroon Insider turns the spotlight on widows as Cameroon marked the 16th edition of International Widows' Day. The newspaper highlights the financial hardship and family rejection many women face after losing their spouses. Despite these challenges, the paper notes that a growing number of widows are turning to petty trade and entrepreneurship to support their families, finance their children's education, and rebuild their lives. National development also features prominently in this week's newspapers. Cameroon Tribune reports that members of the diaspora reaffirmed their commitment to the country's development during an audience granted to them by Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngouti following their participation in Promote. The National Bilingual Daily adds that the head of government acknowledged their contribution and encouraged them to take advantage of the investment opportunities available in the country. The drive toward infrastructure development receives similar attention. Municipal Updates reports that during an enlarged meeting at the Star Building, Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngouti instructed stakeholders to expedite studies ahead of the construction of the Limbe Deep Sea Port. Cameroon Insider carries the same story, noting that the head of government underscored the project's economic significance as part of the implementation of the National Development Strategy 2030. Away from development matters, the Guardian Post carries a story on an alleged attempt to introduce a fake presidential decree at the Cameroon Radio Television. The newspaper reports that an individual is in custody after allegedly presenting what he claimed as a decree appointing a vice president of the republic. The paper adds that security services launched investigations after the suspect reportedly insisted that the document be read during the 5 p.m. television newscasts. Attention also turns to the public payroll, The Horizon reveals that 1,205 teachers who had been officially declared dead were found to be alive during a payroll cleanup exercise. At the local level, emergency response services are expected to improve in the Bamenda 2 municipality following the acquisition of a firefighting truck. The Herald Tribune reports that Mayor Chenwi Peter announced the donation during a working visit to Canada, where the vehicle was secured through Canadian partners. Labor issues round off this week's review with the Post newspaper reporting that workers of the Cameroon Development Corporation have staged fresh protests over what they describe as poor working conditions. According to the newspaper, the demonstrations follow what the protesters consider inadequate government intervention as the corporation continues its recovery from the Anglophone crisis. And that's how the newspapers captured the week's major stories. Join us again next Sunday for another edition of the Press Review.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying on CRTV. The atmosphere here is relaxed with these women and the man that I have here. We are talking about gender-based violence in Cameroon, and we are asking, why does this obnoxious practice continue to persist in our country despite efforts made by different sectors of society to redress the situation? But before we go to that, I have three men and one man and two women. We usually say men of the media who are here. You followed the press review by Angela Mbong. Just one issue that was raised that is topical that we can talk about and move forward.
Yes, perhaps the resumption of the written phase of the GCE that was suspended for 2 weeks. It started in earnest on Monday, but in course of the week, it was reported that somebody was caught trying to assist students in a certain school in Bamenda, a teacher. He was arrested, but my real concern was about how the issue was handled by the police, because we saw how he was being, virtually beaten in public in front of students. I think that he remains a suspect, especially within the legal environment, the common law jurisdiction, where he remains a suspect, except proven otherwise. So if he was caught red-handed
on the run, not only
no, but yeah, we hear that he attempted escaping, but even at that, it doesn't justify the police brutality on him in front of students and all of that. I think that they were supposed to hand over the issue to legal department so that proper investigation can be done, and it should be established that he committed the act before. Yeah, even after being found guilty, he doesn't deserve.
What you are saying is correct by all standards, following the legal procedure. That's what's supposed to happen. But sometimes, after what we knew as a scandal, he came along to anger. He's still a suspect.
Yes,
to anger the education community, to anger Cameroonians who want to
have transparent exams
and exams. So sometimes we can understand the anger of the forces of law and order. Yes, your take on that, Aisha.
Yes, I just begin to imagine the issue of cheating, which has become a cankerworm in the society, and it seems as if some people can't do without it. And it brings us to the quality of certificates that our children are having today. It is really a call for concern. After all what have been said and all the actions taken by the government, I just believe that he's at the head of maybe a team trying to do that, trying to help students in a particular school or particular centers. So it comes back to this idea of always wanting to have 100%. So you see, might be that is what is pushing them. For, as you say, he is still, I buy your idea, he is a suspect. And that treatment, that public treatment was not really necessary, because he can become ill and will not speak. So it's good to take him and give him some questions. He might reveal...
Pamper him.
Yeah, not necessarily pampering him. The police, they are experts in their domain. They know how to question question people who are suspects so that he can tell us more. I don't think that he's alone. How did he get those questions? That is the problem. So there is a problem. There is something that is fishy.
Yes, a serious problem. But if you get the questions, you should experience and exercise a high sense of responsibility. Yes, by not, helping students.
Yeah, Killian, I'm happy that our children finally got to write the exams. But even during the suspension and after the first 8 measure, I would say, because measures were put in place for the children to write their exams. For me, I'm thinking about sustainable measures, because when you look at the range of the cheating, how the numbers that were involved before the suspension, and you look at how easy it is for teachers and students to cheat during exams, I think we need more than just the first 8 measures that were put in place for the children to write this time. There is another GCE coming in 2027 and beyond. We have technology, we have a lot of skills and resources. So I think what I am looking forward to is that after this, I would love to see our ministries really take tech into consideration to make sure that some of these excesses are minimized. And also I was wondering, when the GCE is set again and people have to go, do you know how long it takes for some of those examination papers to get to some centers? And the conditions under which they are stored? Because you and I have been to some parts of this country where putting examination papers in maybe the principal's office is not safe because of infrastructure. In these cases, where do they put it? Perhaps in someone's home. And so when we look at GCE and security, we need to look beyond the major cities of Bamenda, Boya, Yaoundé, Douala. There are villages after Rumsiki where the children are writing GCE. And if everything is done manually and with the analog systems, I think we will still have too many opportunities for people to cheat. So let's look at a more sustainable solution to this issue, because we really want the results to reflect the quality that we're hoping our children can bring. Yeah.
And then you made a kind of statement which let us take tech into
technology.
Yeah. I know. That's what I want to emphasize on. The Ministry of Secondary Education, for what I know, is doing everything that by next year, everything will be digital. That's the technology you're talking about. It's just a continuation of what is done there. And in other ministries, well, let's not...
Well, Killian, I just want to add that even when everything is digital, I am still on the inclusion part. Do you know that for now, GCE results can be consulted online? Yes, right? But there are children in villages where there is no network. They need to travel to another community to check. So digital doesn't mean inclusive. When you make it digital, let there be infrastructure for children who write the GCE all over Cameroon to be able to get it on the same day at the same time.
Is there a place in Cameroon today where you don't have a telephone?
Yes.
Mobile phone?
Oh, so many. Killian,
Yes,
I have been to communities where you need to download email. You need to travel to another location.
Well, we're going too far. In Mencho, for our subdivision, for example, they are not connected by any national network.
Yeah.
They virtually they depend on Nigeria. For
And even where there is network,
what I know is that
if you are saying that
if you have money to wire to your parents in your place, in those places you're talking about, I will speak in the next, I don't know how many minutes they will have the money.
That's not true.
What do you have to say about that?
That is different. Okay, with all that has been happening within the past few weeks, I think that the credibility of the GCE exams has been really tampered with, and we begin to wonder the kind of certificates that is going to be awarded to the students. It's true we are in a social media period, era where everything is telephone, and so it becomes very difficult for those exams to really be handled in a very strict way that those questions cannot go out. But again, we keep asking, how did that teacher get the questions? It is only within the people who are inside.
Yeah.
It's from within. So you need to start attacking from inside, not molesting, well, I call him a victim, because he's not the only one.
It's a perpetrator.
It's a perpetrator, a suspect. And we got information that he belongs to a WhatsApp group where there are about 700 of them there.
Thank you.
And so you can imagine how the thing has gone viral. So it becomes really difficult to look at from outside. Let's handle the matter from within. Let those people inside, who are inside, start questioning themselves. How did this thing? Or let them have at the back of their mind that this is an examination that used to be really credible. In those days, to have 4 papers in the GCE was something.
Yes, 4 and 10.
4, yeah. It was really
celebrated.
tough. But nowadays, you see they get 11 papers. I don't know,
All
12
A
papers,
grades.
all A
All A
grades.
grades,
And I
fine,
begin to
perfect.
wonder how.
Okay,
So,
maybe we can't explain that. But what we know is that if already there's a lead on what happened, that is the person who was arrested in Bamenda is a member of a group of 700. Means they will be traced and they will be obviously sanctioned. So that's what we're waiting for, Komi. That's what, you know. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any waste of time, we are going to move into our focus for today. And we are talking about gender-based violence, which is on the rise in Cameroon. The figures are startling, and we don't know why, despite what's happening as efforts to redress the situation, that very obnoxious bad practice is on the rise in the country. Now we're going to start with your experience as women and also as a man that we have on the set. Gender-based violence is not supposed to be only women targeted because it's about gender. Gender is male, female. But when we hear about this, the first thing we think about is that women are the victim, and as we said earlier, they suffer more than the other gender. Barrister, we are going to start with you because we think that you must face complaints on daily basis more than us. If you have an experience, personal, you share with us. If you have other experiences that come from others, we need to know that to know the level at which this thing has gotten to our society.
Yes, Killian, GBV is something that we've been talking about for decades, trying to eradicate it, carrying out a lot of advocacy, laws and all of that, but it is still persistent and we keep on wondering. As a lawyer, I have been faced with so many of those cases, especially domestic violence, where I receive those women on a daily basis. And to be candid, their stories are different, but the violence is the same. It is either physical, it is either psychological, it is either economic violence, or, yeah. So most of those things, we realize that it is persistent. It comes up every day, and we start asking ourselves, why? Why do we still have these things every day? Despite the fact that we talk to women, we do a lot of, Komi will agree with me, there's a lot of sensitization that is being done, trying to educate the women, letting them know that these are the kind of situations that when you face, you should be able to do some kind of reporting so that follow-up can be done.
Yes, Barrister, we're going to gradually glide into that section.
Okay.
What we wish to know now is give us some of these cases. Let's leave through you some of these cases. You take the most serious ones, of course, because you cannot take all. Yes.
Okay, I'll just go. I had a very recent case. I'm not going to mention names. There was this couple, they got married, and before 2 weeks, the wife came to my office and was seeking for a divorce. And I'm like, are you serious? 2 weeks when I looked at the marriage certificate. But what was the cause of it? What was the cause of that separation that the wife was desiring? Was physical violence. The woman, I got pictures, the woman had been battered. You know, the rasta that she had on her hair, that she did for the wedding, the guy practically uprooted them. You look at her nails, they were plucked off.
Jesus.
And she had to well, the police had to intervene, took her to the hospital because she was alone and with a baby. You know, she cried, nobody came out. You see this problem of silence that we keep on talking in Cameroon. She cried, nobody came out. And the next day, she went to the police, reported, she was taken to the hospital. So somebody gave her my number that, see this lawyer. And so when she came to the office, I looked at the matter. The guy was already on the run. You know, the mother, very next day, the mother came, took him back to Bamenda, because they got married in Bamenda, came to Yaoundé. After this incident, the mother-in-law came and took the son, and they went to Bamenda. And so I started following up the legal procedure, because we do not condone that kind of physical violence. That girl almost died. For a month, her face, her eye was completely blinded. I think it was the left eye, was completely blinded. And she had to spend a lot of money in different hospitals doing x-rays and trying to treat herself. So these are some of the situations that just part of the kind of stories that we receive every day. I don't want to talk about the psychological ones, because some people come, they really complain, but you don't see any physical bruises, injuries on them. But they are going through a lot of pain that is even more than physical pains.
Okay, we'll leave it at that and get some other examples from the other panelists. Komi?
Yes, Kilian, I think that for anybody who lives in Cameroon, you don't need to look too far to see examples of gender-based violence. Every day, if you pick up a Cameroonian newspaper or if you tune to your radio or TV station, there is a story about rape. There's a story about a woman whose partner has beaten her to death. So the examples are too many and too close to us.
Yes,
but one that
your personal example will be sweeter to
one that I have too many. I may cite just one example, because as a journalist, I bear witness to this. And I noticed that in some regions of the country, child marriage is still very, not only common, but normal. And these are in the regions where, you know, here in Yaoundé and in the big cities, it's easy to ask a child, how old are you? And the child will say, I'm 6 years, 5 months. Some will even add the number of weeks, right? It's a normal question. Everyone should be able to answer that. But there are regions in this country where when you ask a girl, how old are you, they don't know. And so in these communities,
and sincerely, they don't know.
Sincerely, they don't know. Their mothers don't know. They don't have birth certificates. So what I notice is in these communities, it's easy to give up children into marriage, because there is no age calculating to know whether you're a child or you're an adult. And so in these communities, the girl's body becomes the calendar. So the moment your breast starts sprouting, the moment your hips start getting rounded, or you start seeing your period, you start having your periods, they say you're a woman, you're ripe for marriage. And so in these regions, you have children who are 14, 15, 16 getting married. And just recently, I saw a young boy who, by my estimation, should be about 17, because I asked the mother the stories around, at what time was he born? You know, what was happening in the country at that time? And I was like, this guy should be 17. And there he was getting married to a young girl, I'm sure, younger than him, because in the village they would know that this one was born. And so for me, this is still very common, and you have no idea the kind of struggles that these young girls get into once they start having babies, when their bodies are not physically prepared. There's a lot of cases around fistula, and even the young boys at 17, I don't think they have the mental capacity to run a home. And so this is something that is very common that I notice in some regions. And when you have activists, I'm sure Barrister would know, and other journalists who talk about GBV, when you start talking about gender-based violence in Cameroon, Kilian, my personal lived experience is that people will come for you. People will attack you. As a journalist in Cameroon, I have been attacked in the press, in the newspapers, online, because we consistently spoke against and consistently speak against gender-based violence. People who feel uncomfortable with you challenging certain practices, and some of them are perpetrators, they would attack you. So there's another form of violence, which is the violence against human rights defenders and journalists who dare to speak on this thematic.
And you might have piped down with your...
No.
You continue.
Why? See, the children, the people that we speak for, Kilian, often don't have a voice. often don't have the platform. No, they have a voice, but it's not amplified. They don't have the platform. Look at the little girl who was raped recently in Yaoundé. Can she defend herself? No. Look at the women who are beaten, their hair pulled out, they don't know where to go to. We have a column on our Sister Speak website, which is Ask a Lawyer. If you see the questions that people write to ask, then you know that you cannot be silent, because evil will continue if those of us who know what is right don't speak. So I have not piped down.
Thank you so much for sharing those stories with us. We miss your personal story, because that would have been sweeter to our ears. We're going to go to Aisha.
Yes.
Probably you begin with your personal story.
Yeah.
Experience as a woman.
Yeah, I've been doing a number of reports on GBV.
Personal, like you faced the violence yourself.
Oh, personal, like facing it
was
myself.
perpetrated on you.
You know, at a certain stage in the society, we become so resistant that we don't even believe that we are facing any violence, and we are stronger than others, as she was saying. So we become the voice, as Comfort was saying. So we become the voice of the voiceless. So I don't really personal. Yes, it happens, because let me tell you, these violence are not only physical. There are some violence that are economical. I worked with one minority group in Cameroon, women, and her problem is that the husband accepted that when she'll get married, she'll continue school and she'll be working. But when she got into marriage, the husband said, no school for you, no work, stay there, I'll give you money. She was not comfortable, and the husband cannot give what she needs. She says she cannot keep going behind the husband and say, give me money, let me send to my mother, I need toothpaste, I need this. That is her problem. And as Komi was saying, when I did that particular documentary for TV and radio, someone called me. Because I did not disclose the identity of the woman, that is how we promised them, that we will not disclose the identity to protect them. But when he watched the documentary on TV, he knew exactly that that was his community, and he knew exactly that that story is the story of his wife. And he called me and said, you are the one who took my wife to television, and she starts telling things that are not true. I said, but I don't know you, and so I cannot say that I took your wife to the television. So please, check your family very well. I have not seen you, I don't know you, so don't call me again. And you see, we cannot back down no matter the attacks. We are there, we see so many things. And at sometimes, when you talk about physical or economic or psychological torture, some of those women are there, they have a lot of stress in the marriage, but they keep staying there, and some, in the name of married woman, which is very, very dangerous, they say, let me just protect my identity, let me protect the identity of the man, let me not disgrace the family.
Of course, we're going to go into discussing that aspect of this topic today. I have not had personal, like...
Killian, you asked for personal stories. Yes. I gave you a personal story, which perhaps you didn't listen clearly, because I have just said, and she, Mama Aisha said the same, that as a reporter who reports on GBV, we have been attacked. That is GBV, because as a female journalist, the same issues I'll talk about, sometimes my male colleagues don't get attacked. Yeah. And so I have just shared an experience which you have invalidated by saying that is not juicy enough. And this is what often happens with GBV reporting, because you give a story and people think this is not serious enough. But even women being attacked for speaking about gender-based violence is violence that is serious and should be acknowledged. And when we talk about sharing personal stories, it's important. But I think my experience with GBV is that when you need personal stories, you need to create the space for it. And there are some stories that people cannot share on a platform where you don't know, not because it's public, but because are you going to take the time to let the person unpack that story? If not, then this may not be the place or the time for the story. So yes, we have shared our experiences, and the experiences are valid and serious. Don't dismiss them.
I agree. I will not dismiss that. You know, you are journalists, three of you on this set. And the common example that is used as a pedagogic example for journalists to make a news story is that when a dog bites a man, it's normal.
It's
but
normal.
When a man bites a dog,
it becomes
that's
a
what
story.
A story. And let me share this with you. I lived an experience as a Christian where a pastor was interviewing me. I gave my personal experience. I experienced Jesus. You know, for 2-3 days, the pastor wanted me to give a story like Saul becoming Paul. That is the type of story that, no, this, you know. So when we ask you, we expect you not to tell us violence that can easily be overlooked.
Don't invalidate the
Overlooked.
and don't overlook this one because it's violence.
It's violence. And there are so many examples. If you want to say, might be a man did not respect me in public, that is violence. Or spoke harshly to me, that is violence. Those are things that we experience on a daily basis. There are times that when you are in a particular place, no one believes that you can do what the men are doing. That one is also violence. So we experience them on a daily basis.
That is true, I admit.
Exactly.
I met one woman. I've not seen one up to this period. I met her in Marwa, who is as fanatic, who is as passionate in fighting gender-based violence, especially violence on women. Her story is pathetic, and that's what revolted her. As a child, about 4 years or 7, I can't get the years exactly, she went through rape by an uncle, right up to when she was already a woman. So when it occurred, you see how very revolting such is. When she goes out to talk about violence on women, you don't need to start.
She becomes very violent herself.
Maybe to change the situation. Patrick, the man in the house, your personal experience. You have been beating all the women?
No, all along I was almost going back with the impression that I was brought here to listen to the women speak. And that's exactly how the fight against gender-based violence has been unfolding. It's a woman's thing. It doesn't concern men. At one point, I was even surprised they invited me to this platform.
We are listening to
talk
you,
about gender-based violence.
We are listening to
Otherwise, for the past 30 minutes, only the women have been speaking.
Yes, 30 minutes. We have not done 30 minutes on the program. You have you have 10 minutes to talk about your personal experience.
Yes, beyond personal experience, I just think that we need to change the stereotype to think that gender-based violence is something that concerns only women or violence on women. And because what I would like you to do, that is the general perception. If you just want to sample opinions about it. You said it at the introductory phase that whenever the word gender-based violence is mentioned, the picture that comes on the screen is that of a woman. But we must accept that there is a disturbing truth about the rampant violence on men too as well. And that it's been underreported by the media, and society is not talking about it. I really don't know why society seems not to be so much focused on violence on men as well. Because if you look at, just when the flyer for this program came out, somebody jokingly said on the media, on a WhatsApp group that I hope that MOA would not interpret the persistent occurrence of gender-based violence or will not link it to government and so on. But I think that government is not completely left out of this out of this fight, because if you look,
so the people were right.
They are right. They are right and wrong at the same time. But it's their fundamental right to be wrong too, because if you look at the institutional neglect, government comes in, because if you look the effort that government puts into to fight gender-based violence that are related to women and girls, they invest about 95% of their energy on that, and just about 2 or 3% on men. What I would like you to know, there exists a ministry in this country that is specialized just to protect women and empower them. That's to say, men don't need protection, so to say. We might go by simple logic. So I think that beyond what NGOs are doing, government too has a very fundamental role to play to ensure that there's a balance in the fight against gender-based violence, be it on men or women. It's true that women they constitute a larger majority of the victims. We can't deny that. But increasingly, men are facing violence, especially when you look at psychological or emotional violence, and even physical sometimes. We know the trademark of the kind of violence that men suffer in the hands of women. Some of them boil water, some of them apply, pour acid on their husbands, you know, and stuff like that. You rarely hear a man get into the kitchen, boil water to pour on the wife or any other member of the household. But these are regular things. It happened. At one moment, I was not a victim, but a brother suffered that.
But most of the
when the wife,
most of the killings.
No, we are all agreeing that women are, in the vast majority, are the victims. There is this recent case in Etukebe, a brother who returned from abroad from Asia, came back. He had been sending a lot of money to the wife here in Cameroon. He came back. He could not find that money. It was supposed to be lodged in the bank. They went to the bank account. It was actually emptied. Apparently, the woman had squandered it with another man. And the woman had the courage of attempting to eliminate the guy by pouring acid on him. It was a popular story reported by the media. There are so many of these cases around the country, here and there. But most importantly, increasingly men suffer psychological and emotional violence. You see the new generation of women with funny concepts like a woman referring to a man as 1 minute man or 2 minutes man. Where is this coming from? These are aspects of psychological violence that sometimes leads to death and even suicide.
Well, maybe
and that is why
you're affected when you are that 1 minute man.
No, for those who are 1 minute.
Is that your personal experience?
No, it's very personal. I'm saying on general note, the Gen Z, the new generation of women, we hear these things often. Sometimes it's not even true. No, I'm not personal. You do not share your own personal. You share professional experience. You don't expect me to share personal experience. I'll share my professional experience too. So when these are the things that lead, you make the man feel less of a man, and the self-esteem is no longer there, because a man is nothing without his ego. And so women lead men to death, to psychological and emotional trauma that they encounter in the hands of women. And these things are not reported. We sit and share drinks, Killian, oftentimes, even though you didn't fulfill your program of yesterday. This is when you sit with men in bars, that's when you know what they go through, especially after taking the second or third bottle.
That is even where they go and
punch the woman.
No. I'm saying that is where men even develop the courage of sharing their personal experiences. You see, sometimes.
I'm prepared to go back and.
No. That I don't know. I'm just saying I'm just saying it's not alcohol speaking. People still share. But they'll really not come out, because a man will be like, even if you share the experience, you start getting utterances like, you are a man and you allow a woman to beat you. It's like a man should not even voice out what they go through, because not only peer influence, but it is for us, we are in a context. Let's not pretend. It's a cultural shock that a woman will beat a man. When you explain that in public, the feedback that you get is very discouraging. That will not even encourage you to open up.
Yeah, it's a cultural shock, because our society has normalized the fact that the woman is a weaker sex and stuff.
No, not that a man should beat a woman, but that the woman is a weaker sex.
But it's more normal if a man beats a woman.
No, come, don't borrow me words. I came prepared. I'm saying that these are issues that men sometimes get discouraged, because even when they voice these things out, they are rather mocked and laughed at. That how can you allow a woman to beat you? Because normally we have been brought up to know that the woman is a weaker sex, the woman is not strong enough to fight. I'm not sure that we have female boxers in this country.
We have female boxers in this country. Don't undermine
I've already seen them.
Yeah.
Okay, now back to the substance of
talking about weaker sex. We will continue.
Back to the substance of this
discussion. If you have contributions, you can send to us. We're going to read them. Patience Ilango just sent us one. And it ties. You continue.
Yeah,
it ties with what you are saying about weaker sex. About the weaker sex.
I have the impression.
Let me read this.
No, I have the impression that you are siding with the women.
Patience Ilango.
Just allow me to float it. You didn't interrupt.
1 Peter 3:7 says that husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect as the weaker partner, and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life. You can continue. You were the one talking about weaker sex.
What does weaker sex mean? For my own understanding, I don't know what weaker sex means.
Okay, if you don't know, but I'm sure that Killian has already explained, or he can help you explain that. What I was trying to say is that, let's get back to the substance of this discussion, why this thing is persisting. I think all of this is happening because men are not fully involved, be it in the fight, in sensitization and all that. It's true that from time to time I've attended some trainings around Yaoundé, courtesy of Komi and organization Sister Speak.
You've been a sister.
Yes, I've been a sister.
An ally.
But when you go to these workshops, this sensitization, you rarely see men. Men are not at the forefront. And even the most organizations that handle issues related to gender-based violence, the barrister is here, I'm not sure that you receive up to 2 or 3 men in a year, for example.
And ask yourself why.
Let's start asking ourselves why.
Why
is it? Because even the way these organizations, they define their missions, they say our mission is to protect the rights of women and girls.
And young girls.
So it ends with women and girls. So a man will not walk into an office and start presenting his problem
because it's a stronger sex.
No, not necessarily a stronger sex, because these organizations themselves are not, they were never formed to actually attend to cases of gender-based violence from men and women.
Ask yourself
There
why.
are very few organizations that handle issues of gender-based violence that are related to men.
Yes,
very few.
There are some.
We can barely count with the fingers of the hand.
And ask yourself
why are they not
because
existing?
Violence is perpetrated more on women. We even talk about 3%.
Not only by men.
Not only by men.
Not only by men and women. Yes.
Nobody is saying that there is no violence on a man. There is. But go to the society and see the proportion. It is so alarming, the violence that you have on women. And most often, it's dangerous. It ends up maybe the woman death or the child or something like that. So the problem is not that we are saying that it's a debate between violence on men or violence on women. We are saying that the problem is so serious on women that you men should acknowledge the fact that there are some of you, the men, who exaggerate your way. After drinking, you go home, you don't even discuss with the woman.
Not all men drink.
Not only men, women do drink. Well, so. But let's take an example of a man. Most often you see them. When you come back home, you don't discuss with your wife. For example, you come back, you just say, oh, you come there, turn yourself, come meet me on the bed. That is violence on the woman. Because you came excited from your beer parlor. That is it. It's not because you are married to. There is rape in couple.
Inviting a woman to bed is for the woman you are married to is violence.
Discuss it with her.
So
it should be mutual. It should be mutual. You came out, she was sleeping. She was already sleeping, and you came from the beer parlor. With your idea. So please, when you come, discuss her.
Why should he dialogue first to the woman?
Dialogue.
What should he do?
When you come,
what should he talk about?
When you come, exactly. It should be.
No, let him talk, Patrick, please.
No, when you come home, she might be sleeping, and you were there outside with your friends. You come. This is what you want. Get her up very calmly and talk to her. She knows her role like a married woman. She knows that's what she has to do. Talk to her and then bring her into the conversation. Don't just come and skip on her and say, no, because you are my wife, you must do this or you must do that.
Yes, some women prefer it that way.
Aisha, I know for the purpose of letting your message go through, you have exaggerated a bit. Excuse me, let me ask you. In real 80% of the cases, when a man comes and speaks, the next thing the woman says, go back to where you are coming.
Then there is already a problem.
No.
Killian, I think I would like to, if you permit, Killian, I would like to come in here because this is one thing that happens each time we talk about GBV. It goes in all directions, and then we forget that the numbers are still looking at us in the face. When we talk about GBV, yes, it happens to men too. And then, we start debating, is it happening to men more? Is it happening to women? And we forget that whether it's happening to men or to women, it is not healthy for our society. And so today, I think our energy and our focus should not be, is it more women? Is it more men? Of course, it's more women, but yes, it's also men. But what happens whether it's the men or the women who talk about GBV? The fact that they are not taken seriously enough. Just this year, or was it the end of last year, there was a story of a teacher who was having a sexual relationship with her male student. When that story went viral, that student is a minor. Look at the commentary that was online by influencers, journalists, lawyers. Some of them were praising that little boy as brave. But what does our law say about sex with a minor? It's rape. But if it were a male teacher and a female student, we would have harped on the rape part. So my issue with how the conversations around GBV happen in Cameroon is that we have a tendency to trivialize and then forget that this thing is serious. a teacher having sexual relationship with her student who is a minor, and it ends as a joke online. After that, nobody took it seriously enough. In Yaoundé, we had the case of a little girl who was raped here in town. The story was really viral. But before long, the debate became, people put up pictures that this little girl used to wear before and say, when mothers dress their children like this, how will the children not get raped? So yes, the statistics are there. They're facing us, but we are having the wrong conversations.
Thank
That's
you so
why
much.
it's persisting.
Now, for the time that we have left, I'm going to ask you specific questions.
Yeah.
When Barrister Tar was talking, she mentioned economic, she mentioned cultural, she mentioned political, she mentioned several types, forms of violence. Let me ask you, cultural violence, how is it done? How do we tackle it for it not to exist? In the newspapers, the newspaper review, we heard about widows' problems during the week. Yes, tell us in 3 minutes, please. You can take more time.
Yes, culturally, we all understand that we are in a patriarchal society where the women are considered a second class. They're given a second place when it comes to cultural issues. And it's rather unfortunate that even with our legal systems, there's this conflict between statutory laws and customary law. It becomes sometimes really confusing because when issues come up at the courts, they grant a different decision at the customary courts, and then a different decision comes up with the statutory law. And we start asking ourselves, where then do we start? Recently, there was, or 2 days ago, it was the International Widows' Day, and we're looking at widows' rights. You know, we know that when we are talking about widows' rights, there's no widowers' rights, because we don't see that those violence actions perpetrated against men.
Probably you don't see, but they exist.
They exist.
They don't speak up.
No, we are looking at the ones that we even see physically. For example, a woman loses her husband. How many men have we seen sitting on the floor after they lose their wives? Have you seen that before?
We have not seen them sit down, but we have heard and seen how men are accused of killing their wives.
And what happens? Have you ever seen a man being chased out of his home? Like they chase women away.
But psychological violence
they are rejected by society.
Psychological violence is as serious as physical violence. So
there we go back to what Komi was saying.
Yes.
You understand? Why are these things still persistent?
Yes.
Because we lose focus most often. These things really happen. We're not saying that the men do not face violence. They do. But over 90% of it is perpetrated against women. That is why we are crying.
Not only by men. Women and men perpetrate violence on women.
And
the majority by men.
Generally against women. And so we are looking at those widows' rights. Now, how many of those widows also do know that after 180 days, they can remarry?
How many months are we talking about?
180 days is like...
Half a year, 6 months?
No, it's more than a year.
No, not
more
altogether.
than, it's about that.
6 months, that about?
More than 6 months.
Yes, that about.
That about. Yeah, so after that period, you can remarry confidently and freely without anybody imposing any relative upon you as a husband. You have the right to choose whoever you want to get married to. The laws are clear on that.
Yeah, are those laws not so light? Emotionally very blind?
No, why? I've seen men who get married 3 months after their wives die. Or less than 3 months even.
Because
they get married.
Women have to
and they're okay about that. But there are women who have to go for years and they observe the sackcloth remover and all of that.
What have you been doing as a lawyer to let those who get women sit for I don't know how long on bare floor and carry out, drink some, I don't know what type of concoctions that can even give them cholera and the rest. What have you been doing to make sure this doesn't happen?
Have been carrying out a lot of advocacy, not just as a lawyer, as an activist. We do a lot of advocacy. And the problem that we always face on the field is that these women are ignorant about the laws that protect them. Okay. They don't know that we have these laws.
Give your number so that some women who are suffering could get to you?
Yeah, and we do a lot of pro bono cases.
Yes.
When we have some of those things.
Will you give your number?
Yes, please. 677
677
83
83
14
14
24.
24.
Yeah.
That is 677 83 1424.
Yeah.
If there's a woman who is going through a very critical situation,
Or man.
or
man.
No, I said
Yes.
Killian has
Yes.
joined them.
No.
You keep talking all about women, from start to finish, women.
And we encourage the women.
That's
Okay.
it. So you don't want a man to come.
Talk about economic violence. Or you choose one of the psychological. You have psychological. You have economic violence.
I think that when you look at the economics part of it, I have seen many women who know that if they stay in this relationship, for example, they will die one day. You know, woman comes, the head is beat, and you're like, so why are you staying there? And then they would say, if I come out, I could go.
I will do help
You know,
in there.
and sometimes it's because they don't have they are not viable enough to live on their own. But this does not mean that violence against women or intimate partner violence is only against poorer women. No. I've seen very wealthy, very strong women who are also victims or survivors. So women who lack the economic viability often suffer. And also when Barrister talks about the law, it's not cheap. Yeah. Even some of the services that we know, we are told that it's free, they're not really free. I don't know, Killian, if you have taken someone who has been a victim through the process, even filing a complaint. When you go to the police station and then you need, or you go to the hospital to establish a report. I have done that with some survivors of rape. It is not cheap. The taxi money, the test, and all of that. And so even access to justice needs to become more affordable. Because sometimes the women know the law, but they can't afford it. And so these are elements of, if we really want to roll down the statistics and the numbers, we really need to make sure that access to justice is accessible, but also very affordable to even the poorest Cameroonian.
Aisha, I will ask you 2 questions. You give me snappy answers because we don't have so much time. What should a woman do after observing that the partner is getting violent? Second one is a word to men who observe harmful change towards the partner.
When a woman observes that the man is becoming very violent, we always encourage them to speak out. Talk to somebody who is, you select the person very carefully. You can talk to your pastor, the priest, you can talk to imam or a church leader, you can talk to a relative who is a responsible person. So but try to speak out. Don't swallow it, because it is always very dangerous when they keep it. And sometimes, as Kwame was saying, I saw a woman who told me that she went to a police because the man was becoming very violent. The police said, go take this to the gendarme. She went to the gendarme. They said, no, this one is for social affairs. She went to social affairs. They even registered the case. They said, go home, we'll call you. And they never called her. And you know, when she's going home, she's intimidated. Yeah. She's afraid. And if the man just gets an idea that this is what she's trying to denounce, the violence is going to multiply.
So what should she do?
She should always make sure that she speaks out and don't keep it to yourself, because you are swallowing your death. You can die. That is so dangerous.
Yes.
And then to talk to men. If you discover that we are talking about the men, some of them are also undergoing psychological violence, even mental issues. When you discover that you are already becoming very violent, please, you can consult a psychologist. You can try to calm down yourself and even go to the hospital and find out if you have a mental problem, because we have a lot of problems in the society. Some people are losing their jobs. Some, they can't meet up. The salary is not enough to pay rent and send the children to school. So he's traumatized, and that's why he comes back and he becomes very violent. He cannot control himself.
Thank you so much.
Take 1 or 2 bottles, even 10.
See, you talk about a woman who takes her case to the police, no solution, to the gendarme, no solution, to the social, no solution.
Yes.
We have a lawyer here.
We're going on
I don't think
laws.
that you come and meet a lawyer, you have no solution.
This is the voice.
Yeah, so her number again is 677-83-1424. Patrick, a question to you. One West African country that is recorded, is reported, and it is happening there. Now, the same GBV is happening there, and let us talk about rape. You are a man, you rape you are castrated. Do you like that? Do you want that to come to Cameroon? Can that be a measure that will help this problem?
Yes, I think that our laws are really lenient on the issues related to rape, whether I would like it or not. It's for me, 6 years in prison is not commensurate to the crime committed. I have daughters at home, 3 of them. I can just imagine the trauma. So I think that we need harsher laws that will really deter others from committing that same abominable act.
That you will not have.
Yes, it's just like corruption. There are some Asian countries that you face a firing squad if you are corrupt. You are found corrupt. We should have similar punishment for cases of rape. These are really serious issues. Yes, these are serious issues that we cannot joke with. It's a disturbing truth.
Maybe you are not castrated, but you are rendered.
Yes, maybe. I don't know what should be done with the manhood,
so you just use it for the
purpose of urinating. I don't know, but if the manhood can be rendered non-functional, for me it's better.
Okay,
because these are issues of rape. Yes, we have to be more serious on this thing.
Now we have 4 minutes left to go. We have the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family that is working on a specific law on GBV, on gender-based violence, especially the GBV that refers to violence on women and children. What should this law come up with? As Patrick has said,
men should be included in that law. The
sanctions should be
severe. Very severe.
What type of sanction do you advise you come up with?
Killian, I think that our problem in this country has not really been with the laws. We have good laws, but we have issues at the level of implementing those laws. So no matter the new laws that come into place, which we really pray that we have a standalone law on gender-based violence, but we are still really worried about the issue of implementation. We have a lot of hurdles to implement these laws. There are so many hurdles that do exist. And if things can be simplified in such a way that women have easy access and to justice, and the powers that be actually take or do what they are supposed to do, then it's going to be a win-win situation for all of us.
Yes, Kwame, you take, and that will be a way forward.
I think our problem is not the shortage of laws. Like Barrister said, it's the implementation, and also even when it's implemented, sometimes it grinds too slowly. You have a case who is a girl who is raped, and there's a pregnancy resulting from that rape, and by the time they establish the fact that she was raped, maybe she's already
9 months
gone. Sometimes she's even had the baby.
Yeah.
So yes, the laws are there, but it should be speedy, and we should really prioritize and treat this as not something that is a distraction. We should not be very lenient. Sometimes when you also go to the police stations and to security, they laugh at the complaints. A woman goes and complains, oh, my husband has boxed me. Say, do you know what other women are accommodating in their home? So we need more gender-sensitive units when women come to complain, and also child-friendly. Sometimes when it's a young girl that goes, I've heard these cases, they say, what were you wearing? And they want to take advantage. So we need to work on that as well.
As a coordinator of Sisters Speak 237, 237 is Women in Cameroon, Sisters in Cameroon. You're going to beat them up to speak louder. Aisha,
that's not the word I would use. I just think we need to have more open conversations and listen to all stakeholders, because we need to move from just talking without actions. We need more conversations in this.
30 seconds, the last one.
We encourage the Ministry of Women's Empowerment to go ahead and bring in stronger laws and make sure that the implementation phase is very important. And when they are taking those laws, women should also be there. As you say, most of the laws, they take it, the men do the laws, and they do it in their favor. So we want that women should also be on the table of discussion.
This is coming from...
How many of them are there?
How many?
Killian, I think that is the way forward starts from here, just on this set.
Yes.
I would prefer that next time we'll have more men discussing all of this, because your casting is biased. Out of 4 panelists, I can't include you, are not a panelist yet. We have 3 women and just
Against one man.
The problem is mostly lots of women.
Exclusion. You are giving the impression that men are not. No, it's not a joke.
Your joke is taken, Patrick. Our time is up.
It starts from here.
Thank you so
And
much for coming. Thank you so much for coming, Patrick Moa. Thank you, Aisha Mama. Thank you, Musa Comfort. Thank you, Barrister Edouan Ta Ngum. Thank you so much for coming and letting us have this very useful discussion here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this program. Have a nice time, wherever you are.